So the ridicule that my parents have lived with, the embarrassment, the shame. I can imagine now that I'm a grown-ass woman, I'm a wife and I'm a mom, it's so shameful to feel like you're not able to provide, you've lost the home for your children, you know.
Mama magnified, Mama magnified.
Magnified Family, what it do? Also known as Mama Magni. Welcome back, you guys. Welcome home. For those who find themselves here for the very first time, welcome home. I hope you make it a stay. And for the original, returning Magnified Family, welcome back, baby. It's been a ride. We just wrapped up the series of sharing about the retreat. We are back with another video. What do you mean? Okay, so as you guys would have seen by the title of this video today, as a follow-up from the previous video where I did a get to know me tag, today I'm sharing 2 family testimonies that'll help you guys get to know myself better, or just actually know. The testimonies are not to get to know me better. The testimonies are to give God glory. The testimonies are to share about how I've experienced God growing up, seeing God perform miracles in front of Pam. I have to share, guys. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and are you subscribed? Why are you not subscribed? Why have you not liked this video already? Have you commented? Okay, we're a growing family, and I am so pleased to have you guys here. Welcome back, baby. Okay, so let's get into the story, guys, or the testifying, right? I've been so all up in my head to make sure that I don't get emotional shooting this video or sharing this story, because essentially it's 2 of the most personal and most sensitive events in our family. Like, ever since, when I say our family, I mean my mom, my dad, and my sisters, so my immediate family, right? And I know my sisters and I have been meaning to shoot this video for a very long time to share, but we just never got around to doing it, right? And one of my younger sisters has already is it called relocated to the United Kingdom in the UK. So I don't know when this will happen, so here I am, I'm doing it right now, right? So just to recap, if you're stumbling upon this video for the very first time, I do come from a family of 4 girls. It's my mom, my dad, and then siblings of 4 girls. So it's my older sister, myself, and then twin girls, right? There's an age gap of 5 years between myself and my older sister. Yes, I'm a middle child. And then between me and my youngest, my twin sisters, is an age gap of 3 years. Okay, so which testimony comes first? Okay, so growing up, we didn't really grow up well off, right? I wouldn't say we were poor, but we had patches of lacking, you know, and it really came in the different seasons when either my mom was not working or my dad was out of work. My mom worked as a professional nurse, a professional nurse for many years. She retired just before COVID, and then my dad was always in the logistics and business space as well, before starting his own business in the latter part of his retiring, right? So we grew up, we went to Catholic schools. So the typical, I won't say typical story, let me talk about my parents. The one thing my parents did is they sacrificed, I don't know how to say that in English. They deprived themselves of a lot of things just to make sure that the one gift or one priority they both agreed on as parents is they're going to give us the best education, right? And that would mean that we take that and we run with it. That's all they had to offer us, right? But with that came them sacrificing or depriving themselves of many things, like a well-to-do house. They ended up living in a lot of debt. We never had a car growing up. I mean, the only car we had was the first car each of us bought when we got our first jobs, you know, so we grew up without a car. We don't know what it feels like to have a car. So, but they did take us to really good schools, like Christian schools that were like top notch, right? So I'll always be grateful for that, because it really did make a huge difference to who we are today, how our lives turned out. And they took us to convent schools, to Christian private schools as well. So they really gave us the best foundation in terms of giving us God and giving us a solid education, and I'm glad all of us took it and ran with it, right? So with that then came a lot of like financial restrictions, a lot of debt, a lot of on and offs. When it was good, it would be good. When it was bad, it would be bad. The only thing I also took out from that is, sometimes it is good to take your child to a private school, your vision being, I want the best for my child. But the only con to that I experienced is that it becomes quite difficult for the child who's in the private school if the child cannot afford, or if the parents cannot afford the lifestyle of that school for that child, right? So that's one of the things I know, that when my sisters and I talk and we revisit our upbringing, that's one of the things we agree, that it was a little bit painful to know that whenever a newsletter would come for an excursion, we don't even give it to our parents, right? Whenever there was anything evening, like, it even ended up affecting you, even how you participate in school in terms of extramurals, because you would have to choose your extramurals strategically in a way that, don't you dare choose any extramural 6 p.m. Ma'am, we don't have a car at home. What do you mean you're choosing drama where there's going to be a drama evening? What do you mean you're choosing choir when there's going to be choir competitions driving to other schools? So it actually ended up becoming this thing, you know what, let me just be a normal child who just goes to school and come back. Let me not sort of dream big, because there's no point, right? Because you almost see situation, I can't even, it's not even your parents are being selfish, they don't want to give it to you. It really is just like, how my guy, like, there ain't nothing, So it one of the cons with that was also that thing where you end up how do you say that in English? You're a small child, but you're already thinking like an adult because of the situation you can see at home. You already are proactively depriving yourself of certain things, because you just like, I know I'm not going to get it. And it's not that I'm not going to get it because they're going to say no. There ain't no money, For many, many years, actually, our whole schooling career, like I said, we didn't have a car at home. And it was your typical story where most of the private schools were in the north, which is the furthest part from Soweto, right? So it's either you were in a school transport or you used public transport. We did use school transport a bit, Dikumbi. And then again, on and off payments, and then we ended up using public transport, which is fine. But what ended up happening is, as the schooling career years went by, we did also end up, some days you don't have school fares, some days you do. But I want to fast forward to the testimony, right? So with that long story of financial constraints of my parents, I remember I was in high school by then, maybe about grade 8. Grade 8 or 9, which would have made my older sister closer to matric, and my younger sisters were about grade 4 or 5, so they're about to finish primary school. I remember the first afternoon of this incident, right? So I'm a middle child, like I said. My older sister is the firstborn. I'm hoping we're going to be able to have a sit-down video and she can share her perspective from a firstborn angle. But this is where I really got to understand that although we could be like siblings brought up in the same house by the same parents, we don't actually have the same experiences in our home. We don't experience our parents the same. We may not even have the same traumas or the same triggers, because we could have had a different upbringing, although we are in the same house. So to cut the long story short, I think my sister had more oversight than I did about the fact that my parents owed a lot of money against our bond. Our house hadn't been paid for a very long time. But this only came to light for me and my younger sisters this one Thursday afternoon. I think it was school holidays. No, it wasn't school holidays. I remember I was coming back from school, couple past 4, right? Guys, did I not come back from school, get off from the bus stop? I'm walking towards my house. So our house is a very short street, right? It's not a long street. So the minute you turn into the street, there's only like 3 houses this side, 3 houses this side. Did I not get to the street of my house and I'm about to approach my home, and the entire house belongings are on the grass. Like, guys, indlu yonke is outside. All the furniture, all the everything, all the insides are outside. Guys, when I tell you, like, so I was confused. I'm like, okay, this can't be a robbery. It's not a house robbery, because as I then approached very closely, did I not then see, I can't remember if I saw my mom or who, my mom standing outside looking so shattered, looking so defeated. You could see she had been crying. But to cut the long story short, we were basically evicted from our home. And when I look back now and I'm thinking, how did my parents salvage that particular situation where now this has happened and now we're coming back from school? There was no way she could have warned us. What are my parents going to do? What plan do they have? What's going to happen? You know? But we, as the youngest daughters, are only coming to understand what's happening now that it's action time and all our things are outside. Like, now it's just like, yo, okay, what's happening? Cut the long story short, my parents had to make an arrangement. We went to go stay at my paternal grandmother's house, which is Gambabam Epinville, while my mom and my dad and my older sister had to call people to come help store some of our things, like just whoever take whatever they can while we go figure out what's happening. And then we stayed at my granny's house, Gopinvili, for 11 months. Guys, that was so tough. Like, that was so tough when all you've known is just to ukulagini. Now, on top of the worrying about the small things, now you're worried about even the bigger things for your parents. Now it's confusing in terms of school, what's going to happen. Now you're living in a family home, and I know I've got a lot of friends who grew up, and some people still live in a typical, you know, family home, like Wakoko, where there's a Koko, Abu Aunt, you know. And that was the first experience I got there, and it was so confusing. It was so unsettling. It was so outcasty. It was so, you know, like, we came erratically, guys, into people's home. I know it's my granny's house, and my aunts and my cousins stayed there essentially. So they grew up there. They were born there. We've always had our own home, and now we come, and we're a big family. It's my parents and 4 children. So it's not an easy thing to stomach, and we didn't know when this was going to end, right? So that was heavy. That was dark. And Sana, my parents prayed while those people were taking the things out. Fast forward, I guess they managed to make an arrangement with the bank, and then we moved back to our house. And I think about two years later, it was school holidays. It was a Thursday, I remember. I'm about to make myself a cup of tea. You know, school holidays must tighty, t-shirt, free t-shirt. You're cleaning, you're vibing, you're jamming to Aliyah, man. Come on, Adi. Guys, did I not, while I'm cleaning, there's like shouting and commotion outside. When I look at the curtain, did I not see the red ants? Guys, if you know red ants in Transbec, you will know. Red ants are those people who do evictions in buildings where people are not supposed to be there. Those people came, they really are ants. They came so fast. They came so furious. They were so wild. They were so the opposite of empathetic. They didn't care. They were so rough. Guys, they were vultures. They were you could say no manali spirit. I guess they were good at their jobs because that's what they were sent to do. And guys, that day I witnessed the eviction. And when I tell you that those people took well under 7 minutes to take everything out of the house, to evict all possessions, whether you head body a holo, whether you are a big double door fridge, whether you are bona, those people and the job they do is like your life is flashing in front of you and they just going. And remember, they don't carry your things like this. Oh guys, but so no, they grabbing, they be like this, you know. And I remember that time I still had like a bobcat type of bob situation in a gear style, and I still vividly remember. I remember that guy. He was short. He was like bouncy. Like it was like fun times for them, you know. And I remember him looking at me, and the one things, because they literally just take things like this and throw them out. They're not packing things out nice. It's not movers that you paid for. They are evicting you from a house that you haven't paid for. So essentially, it's not your property anymore. They've probably given notices. No one's paid enough or whatever. So goodbye, because the house is going to be auctioned. That is what's happening. Guys, this one guy was like to me, as he's passing me, Giti, taking up all the things, he just passes me and he's like, "I'll show Rihanna." I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm just laughing that, what do you mean? Now when I look back, it's funny because really I did have that hairstyle, Rihanna, but like, I'm just trying to think, even the state of mind of these people. I understand they're on the job, right? But their job is so vile. It's so, do they sleep well at night? I guess they are on a mandate. It's like me being at work, you know, but it's not an easy thing to watch a second eviction happen. And that day, I remember I felt that, because now I'm realizing the situation and I'm realizing the intensity or the depth of the situation of my parents' finances, because it's not looking good. I mean, first time lucky, right? God rescued us. Second time, no kunenkinga, then we are homeless. We are homeless, my guy. That day, obviously now by then my parents are already, like, from the last eviction, they have a team of lawyers, not even lawyers, attorneys, a team of attorneys to try fight it and see what we can put together. Can we probably change the name of ownership maybe to my sister, because I think she was working by then. Let's make arrangements, you know. But unfortunately, when you're in that situation where the bank's already flagged your house and now you're not consistent in payment, Sana, they don't care. Like, they don't care. You're not paying for that house. It's been in arrears for long. So, goodbye. They want to auction the house and make up for Skoloto Sahau. And from a child perspective, I think that was like a lot for our family. That was beyond a lot. And I only really see God's hand now in retrospect, because when you're in it, it's so dark, guys. It's so hopeless, man, you know. But in that hopeless, I found it so encouraging that even on the days where we would get evicted, like this second eviction now, after those people left, immediately they've hired these two, I guess, security or two security personnel. They go into the house, they change the locks of the house, they have their little blanket and their radio and their beans, baked beans and loaf brown to come gather the house, essentially, because now the house belongs to the bank. Guys, the second eviction, I remember our family and I, we stood outside. My parents were just like, let's pray. Do not stand outside with our belongings. We stood there and we prayed and we prayed and we prayed and we prayed. And my parents got in touch with the attorneys. Hey, like a movie. Who the attorney, who the lawyer, who the people making phone calls there? No, don't leave. I can't remember this one particular time. Oh, this second eviction now, we went to go stay at a very, very close friend of my mother's. They're basically best friends, right? She's a family friend. We went to go stay at her house. But then this time around, I remember it wasn't for too long. It was about for 2 weeks, right? While my parents were busy with like the legal cases, stuff back and forth. And guys, I tell you, we were back into that house again. Nyamazu Jesu. Ngithi nyamazi uGod liyamutsiba mudimu na. Okay, angakaqedi. Did we not go back into the house sharp? We went in, couple of years went by. Now I'm in my first job. I remember I was working at the laboratories after graduating. This must have been 2011, if not 2011. Yeah, 2011, because 2012 I started in the pharmaceutical industry. I get years have gone by. Everything right, most obvious. How, guys, again, first job, I haven't moved out, we're home. And this time we sort of preempted or knew, because with my parents working with the attorneys, we were still taking there my finances. And lo and behold, this time we knew. They sent us a letter this time to say, date 8 saying we're evicting you guys unless you make a payment of this X amount, like big monies, obviously. So that did not happen, but my mom and my parents were working very closely with the lawyers. and they were going to salvage something. They were going to salvage, I don't know what kind of document it's called, to stop the auction from happening because they've made arrangements, but these things are very time sensitive. If this doesn't reach this one or the sheriff on time, this one is still going on with whatever. So that's essentially what happened. Got our third eviction. Third, guys, three. How? On that morning, we're chilling. Parents and I, it was my sister, my older sister, and my parents. I went to the lawyers that morning. The morning that's written the date of the auction. Now they're coming to auction the house. Because they've given us 2 chances over the many years. Hey, guys. Now I went to work, kept it moving because it was like, no, we got this. We're just going to go to the lawyers, come back with the letter. The auction's not going to happen. Sana, what do you mean? What do you mean? Because I got a call from my sister at work around 10 a.m. Yo, is going down. I'm like, what do you mean? Arielo, come. They fetched me from work. We went to the lawyer's offices. Hey, they typing up that, I don't know what document it's called. We left my dad at home because someone must be home, Sana, when these people come. When we call my dad, he's sitting in the house praying. We're like, Papa, what's happening? He's like, no, they just arrived. We're like, sir, why are you so calm? He's like, I'm praying. There's no time to panic. My dad's praying. As we call him, he's like, yeah, they just arrived. Guys, my dad is generally calm, but that day as a head of the house, my dad was so calm. As a person who was at home when these people are arriving. So this time when they came, they didn't bring red ants. They came now as auctioneers. Tsako Bank to come auction the house. Like, it's China now. Kupelile. My dad's like, yeah, ke ba shebile ka window, ba dutse ka stulo. Yeah, go na le batho ba tlileng. Guys, can I tell you that amongst the people who came to buy the house that's being auctioned were some of our neighbors? Is it wrong? Maybe it's not. I mean, it could be a good business transaction for them to get such a beautiful house, like close to nothing, right? But I don't think the neighbors were there to buy. They were not. The neighbors were there to see and to laugh and to mock and to ha, who do they think they are? And to and to did you see? Or to, in this day and age, it would have been the people who were there to take videos and to show that I was there and this is the egg in their face. So there were some of our neighbors at the auction. And my dad on the phone, as we're busy with the lawyers who are in town, the officers were in Kotopong, Kanako, we're done with the letter. Guys, we're driving fast from town to Protea. My dad's like, yeah, babida. Yeah, yeah, they bidding, I'm hearing amounts, but he's just praying, he's praying, but he's so calm. Because we were panicking for him. What if they come in and do whatever and he's alone? He's just like, I'm praying. We drove fast, got to Gasi. We had to go to the internet cafe to print this letter. Took the letter. Guys, when I tell you that we drove in 222 handbrake 10 into the street, Yagiti, and the auctioneer was about to boom. That's when we arrived with the letter. You can't tell me, you can't I will never not tell you that I know God or I've seen God. That was a movie, that was a miracle. We arrived there in literally a few seconds before the auctioneer guy was about to say, boom, sold to whoever. In the nick of time. Uyamazi Melusi, uyamazi God, mina nyamazi baba wami. Yeah, he's a God of last minute, guys. He's a God of last minute. That's why your faith must never die, because you don't know when he's going to show up. He's a God of the last minute. He's a God of sparing those who are being laughed at. He really does set a table before your enemies, because that's what happened that day. The enemies were watching, and what did God do? In the nick of time, he said, not kalo nabanabaka, And guys, when I tell you that day, I'm probably being animated because I don't want to be emotional, but we arrived in the nick of time. And I remember this particular tate, and let me not mention names, but he was an elderly man who works for this company, but he was a Christian guy. He's at work. And when we arrived with the letter and he opened it and he read it, and then he did this legal jargon to tell the people that the auction is off, there's no more sale of the house and it's off, and he showed them the document. And in a few seconds, the show iphelile. The people had to leave. It was so like, it was an out-of-body experience. But we had a movie. Like, I don't even think we had it in us to cry yet, because we were still in disbelief that this is happening. At this point, guys, the people left. Did this gentleman who works for the auctioneer company not break down into tears? He cried. He's like, in my 28 years of working and doing this job, I have never seen such. I've never experienced such, but I know Modimo wa lona o na le lona, and this house will never ever ever be back up for sale again, because God is up to something, and God is going to make sure that he helps you guys rescue this house permanently. This is the same guy who's on the job auctioning the house, but now he's just telling us what God has said to him, or what he's relating to his career, and how he's just like, there's no ways this is anything else but God. Did this guy not end up in our home, in our house? Because he's an elderly man. We made him a cup of tea, we made him biscuits, we made him a sandwich before we saw him off. Guys, when that guy left, when we were now gathered as a family, we were just like, what? There's no ways you will ever not hear me talk about God and his miracles. That was our first miracle as a family, and I'm just like, it was one of the most embarrassing things we experienced as a family over many, many years, but it was also one of our most powerful, strongest testimonies that we live by till today, because we're able to tell people of that God who rescued us over many, many years, over many episodes of being shamed, my parents' dignity being dragged down the drain in our upbringing, just being that embarrassed, or family, in our neighborhood, we were the laughing stocks for many, many years. And in the end of it, guys, God performed a miracle, and God in a very miraculous way provided so much money in a space of about 6 months of that incident, and we managed to pay off the house. My parents' house has finally been paid off. The torment that they've lived with all these years as parents, the ridicule that they've lived with all these years, was gone. The embarrassment, the shame. I can imagine, now that I'm a grown-ass woman, I'm a wife and I'm a mom, it's so shameful to feel like you're not able to provide, you've lost the home for your children, Not only did we pay the house off, we managed to extend the house, and it's such a beautiful home. And we don't worship the home, but we worship the story behind the God of that home. It's like our home, our house now is such a monument of God's mercies, because it is mercy. It's like getting first chance, second chance, third chance, and you still mess it up, and he's still just like, not kabanabaka. I'll try find a picture of our home right now, and it's such a home of love. Now, it's always been a home of love, honestly, but it really is that home where now people in the neighborhood, when they come, after everything that happened, God will be the same person who make all those people come into that home. And you know what you need to do? You need to receive them with love. Yes, some of them were coming to like, it didn't really happen, but even those people need to be received with love. And you use that to tell people about the God who did what he did, because it was not about us as a family. We are just people, we are just his children, we are just sinners, we are just his daughters and his sons, and we are not worthy of any of his mercy or his grace, but he gave it to us. Our responsibility is to live the rest of our lives as a family, to never stop telling people about this God, to never stop telling people about the God of miracles, the God of provision, the God of Lalela. He's an all-in-one, guys, and he really does not leave you, ebendini. God doesn't leave you. Don't stop believing. Don't stop having faith. Even when it looks like, what are we doing having faith? Have faith. That's all you have at that point, and that's what God wants to see. He wants to see your heart on fire, trusting him for that, and he takes that and he works with it. So that is just, it's that testimony, guys. Literally, it's that's been one of our, I thought I was gonna record 2 testimonies. Clearly not, because your girls all like teared up already. I'll just leave it at that with the story. And I can't not talk about giving my life to God and just living for him, because why not? Why would I not? Why would at this point, guys, anything that comes out of my mouth needs to talk about this God, umelusi wethu. Because can you imagine, as a family, living to tell the story till today? That is what will come out of each and every family member's mouth for Giti. Because 3 evictions, guys, same house, 3 evictions, and then in 6 months the house is paid off. When God came through, he made sure he was just like guns blazing. I'm just once and for all. Because you know why? We trusted God. Did we always trust God? Maybe not always, but I can say if my parents did, they were just like, nah, dog, siyabuya. I mean, there was one afternoon where, in that afternoon that they took all our belongings out, my mom was just like to those securities, yo, it's why we're going back in. And we packed our things in that same day. I just told you guys of the 3 big evictions, but I think essentially we had like 5 evictions that I remember, at least, in our lifetime, in our growing up. So guys, sometimes when we are crazy for Jesus and that's all we talk about, and that's all we just like, hi guys, and we're not talking about, it's good to read the Bible, but at least we are relating things. We're not relating about, the woman with the issue of blood, because we're talking about real life things that we can actually relate to. Yes, we are tapping into faith, but we are talking about our real life stories. That same God 2000 BC years ago is the same God who did it for us today. So I really hope this helps someone in terms of your faith, in terms of trusting God, in terms of even where you are in your life. You won't always be there. Seasons change. It's going to be well. In fact, before it is well, just tell yourself it is well, because you need to stop, or you need to defy what your mind tells you. Your mind is looking at the situation. Faith says you look at things that aren't as if they are. Faith says it is a substance of things not seen. So don't look at what you see. Remember what God has promised you. Imagine those things that you want as if they are, because that's where God then comes in and he activates that faith and he does his thing. So I really hope this helps someone. I really hope this is just a refiring up, man. I know life is very hard for a lot of us. We're carrying different crosses, we are going, man, but can you just tap into the same God who performed this major miracle for my family and I? So thank you so much, guys. Until I see you guys at the next video.